Antony ready to give up on his Manchester United career and is set to ask to leave. And Ruben Amorim is ready to maybe throw Christian Eriksen and Antony out the door. But a player that could be key in Ruben Amorim's plan is Mason Mount. We've got a bit of insight into Ruben Amorim's plan, how he wants to play and how he's demanding intensity from his players. We've got updates coming out on injuries. Lenny Euro, Malacia, Luke Shaw and others could return in time for Amorim's first game versus Ipswich. Bruno helps out passenger on a plane. Some interesting stats on Amed Diogo. What really went down with Ruud van Nistelrooy and bye-bye to him. And a little bit of transfer news. So, hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news roundup. Please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. We're on that road to 100,000 subscribers. I'm on 97,085 subscribers, 15 away from 97.1k. But let's start with this story on Antony. Antony wants to hold talks with Manchester United to understand his role going forward, as he's unhappy with his situation at the club. While he remains dedicated to the team, Antony will look to leave Manchester United if his situation does not change, is what was said by United District, who are a good source of information, who don't put out much information, but they are quite well informed with the information that they do put out. And this does not surprise me. Antony started maybe one game this season, got a couple of minutes off the bench. Obviously, he had a little bit of an injury, but Antony has barely played this season. So this comes as no surprise to me whatsoever. I also don't know where he really fits in under Amorim. Maybe as a left wing back, potentially, but he's just not been good enough defensively or going forward to even know if he'll be a left wing back under Amorim. I mean, he brings the intensity that Amorim obviously wants to see at United, but it's going to be interesting to see potentially what happens with Antony, but I think he's going to go in January. I think the fact that he now wants to move, Man United were open to moving him on in the summer. He wanted to stay. Maybe he deluded himself into thinking he was going to get minutes to prove himself wrong. He hasn't really got the minutes to really like make an impact, but he's not been good enough when he's played. So I think Antony will be gone. I think he wants to go. The situation is finding suitors to him. I think it's going to be a loan deal because he's on nearly 200 grand a week. We spent 85 million on him. I think United might have to do a loan deal. Hope he has a bit of a Jesse Lingard loan where he plays quite well. So then maybe in the summer we can get a bit of money for him, because I can't see anyone paying a bit of money for him and paying his wages, if I'm going to be totally honest. In terms of Amorim's plan, this was said by Fabrizio Romano. Ruben Amorim's plan is to start immediately with a back three in the defence and bring in players ready to provide intensity starting from 2025. So he wants to play a back three and he wants players that are going to bring intensity in. I was talking about players that bring a certain intensity. Bila was one that came to mind. Bramthwaite was another one that came to mind. There's a couple of players out there where you know that they would bring intensity. He said it's crucial. Intensity is a crucial word for Ruben Amorim. He wants to build that at United. For example, I don't think Eriksen will continue at the club beyond the season. Even do I think Eriksen, even though he's had a good season, is going to go in the summer regardless of who the manager was, because he's just getting old and he has limitations because of his lack of intensity. As good as he's been, I think Eriksen will walk for free this summer. And I think Antony was going to go this year anyway, so maybe you can say Romano stating the obvious there, but he wants a back three, he wants intensity, and obviously Eriksen doesn't have that intensity. Antony probably does, but he's just not good enough. You know, if you gave Eriksen Mason Mount's legs, I mean, Eriksen would very much be fine at United. Well, I say if you give him Mason Mount's legs, he'd be injured the whole time. But Mason Mount plays with a good intensity, whereas, you know, does all what you want off the ball. Eriksen does what you want on the ball. Do you know what I mean? But apparently he wants to play with a back three and bring players in with an intensity. And if we look at the Leicester game, we beat Leicester 3-0 and we were much better than Leicester and we were levels ahead of them. But Leicester's squad is crap. Leicester are not good and we didn't show much intensity versus Leicester. We beat them 3-0. We actually finished our shots and opportunities. We're still playing with a slow tempo. We still didn't look like we really got our first gear for much of the game, bar Amed and Bruno. We weren't playing with much intensity versus Leicester. And I'm sure Ruben Amorim watched that and said, these players have to give more. They won the game, but the intensity was 100% lacking. Now, according to The Sun, now this is come from The Sun. The Sun are a gutter tier source and they probably know nothing. But they said that Mason Mount is set to play a key role under Ruben Amorim at United. Now, I think Mason Mount can play a key role under Ruben Amorim at United, but we're asking Mason Mount to stay fit. Asking Mason Mount to stay fit is the biggest problem. Mission impossible at the moment. So, yes, Mason Mount, intensity, was a good player at Chelsea. Chelsea played the season twice in a row. You've got to remember that. But we've not seen anything from Mason Mount in 18 months. So if Mason Mount can stay fit, and play with that intensity, he can work in Amorim ball, and Amorim might take a liking to him as that sort of shadow forward, someone that's going to press. He'd done well under Tuchel, but we are asking for Mason Mount to stay fit. I think if he stays fit, he could turn his United career around, because I think he can play with intensity, he can play under Amorim. But if he doesn't stay fit between now and the end of the season, that's 2 seasons of you in the hospital. You got to go, mate. That's the way I see it. You know, you've got 2 seasons. If you don't perform in your first season, you have to perform in your second. And I'm not saying that he hasn't performed because he's not played, because he's always been injured, but we need to see more. This was also said on Amorim and Ruud van Nistelrooy, who has left. If there were any talks between Amorim and Van Nistelrooy yesterday, they were not face-to-face. The latter was spotted leaving Carrington just after midday, a few hours before Amorim landed at Manchester Airport. So I'm aware Ruud van Nistelrooy maybe knew he was going to go, and maybe Ineos had those talks with Ruben Amorim beforehand and had let Ruud van Nistelrooy know he was going to go. I like Ruud. It's sad to see him go, but we have to back what Amorim wants. If Amorim doesn't want him, that's fair enough. But it is sad to see Ruud go, but I'm sure he'll have a good career as a Premier League manager. So, who could return for United's next game, Ruben Amorim's first game against Ipswich Town on November 24th? Players are reportedly expected to be back from injury for Manchester United's next game against Ipswich Town on November 24th is Kobbie Mainoo, as expected, Leny Yoro and Malacia. Now, Malacia probably will be on the bench for a while before he even gets minutes. Leny Yoro, because he's been out for a while, will be on the bench. Kobbie Mainoo could be thrown in as a starter, but I think he could be on the bench and gently moulded in. But they're the 3 players on the way back. I think Mainoo and Yoro are particularly exciting, but it will be nice to see Malacia back. But I think with Malacia being out nearly 2 years, I just don't know if he's going to hit those levels. Again, we'll have to wait and see what happens with Malacia, but I think Yoro and Mainoo are 3 key players. You know, the Ineos rebuild was focused around Højlund, Yoro, Kobbie Mainoo, Amed Diogo. They're the 5 young players that I think we want to build the squad around. Ruben Amorim has a liking to young players, so very happy they'll be back. I don't think people understand how good Leny Yoro is. Talking of Ruud van Nistelrooy, Garnacho said a bye-bye to Ruud. It was a short time, but it was special. I learned a lot from you, and I will keep it to myself for the rest of my career. But what I will remember the most is how you are as a person. We will miss you. Meet again. Legend. The players had a really good relationship with Ruud van Nistelrooy, and they said that Ruud coming in just for those 4 games instead of Ten Hag, you know, got a bit of confidence and helped the players out, you know, mentally a lot. And a lot of the players had a close relationship with him. So it is sad to see him go, because I do think a lot of the players at the club really liked Van Nistelrooy. Amed Diogo now. Amed Diogo liked Van Nistelrooy because he finally got the minutes he deserved. I mean, can you believe Amed Diogo got his first Premier League start at the weekend for the first time since September, and the performance he's been putting in the last 2 starts he's had? Madness. Amed Diogo has scored 6 and assisted 4 in the 1,598 minutes that he's played for United, meaning he averages a goal and assist every 0.56 goals per 90. So every other game he will get a goal and assist. He's got quite good output at United, especially considering a lot of that is off the bench. A lot of that is just as a young player in an unstable squad. I think in a stable squad environment with a run of games with him developing with age, he could have really good numbers for United. This is a story on Bruno Fernandez, our captain, showing he's a captain on and off the pitch. Bruno Fernandez was travelling from Manchester to Lisbon with Diogo Dalot on Monday when he noticed a man appearing to be passing out on the back of the plane. Fernandez shouted urgently for assistance. "Excuse me, we need help, we need help." Bruno went to the loo at the back of the plane during the flight, blah, blah, blah. We suddenly heard a shout for assistance, which those within hearing distance looked back, including us. We were towards the back. He stayed at the back to make sure the man was okay. It might have been 5 to 10 minutes, and he made his way back to his seat, but very unassuming. He wasn't looking for any attention about himself. So Bruno Fernandez helping a poorly passenger on the plane. Things you like to see. It's not PR. He's just a good person on and off the pitch. I think he's a good leader, and I think he's so overhated. I think people don't think Bruno's a leader. I think Bruno's a leader. The way he talks to the old players, the youth players, like people at Man United said that Bruno was friends with everyone. Bruno makes an effort to talk to everyone, whether you're young, whether you're old, make sure everyone feels comfortable. He's a people person, and I think we need that at United. And then lastly, United have been linked to Dynamo Zagreb midfielder Martin Baturina, 21. We've been linked to him a couple of times. Apparently, he rejected a contract offer from Real Madrid. Barcelona and Atletico Madrid are interested. He wants to move clubs at the end of the season. He sees the Bundesliga as the perfect step. Apparently, United are interested in a 21-year-old midfielder. I'm not sure. Maybe his agent's linking him to United to help him get the move that he wants, playing us about a bit. We've been linked to him a couple of times before, but not much in it. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like button. See you next time. Bye.